Put the coffee maker in it.
Good morning. Today is Wednesday, August the 3rd, 2022. The time is now 9 a.m. I'm Kevin Day, Chair of the Custer County Board of Commissioners, and I will call to order this meeting of the Board of Commissioners here this morning. If you do have your cell phones, please silence them at this time. And Bill, would you lead us in the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir.
My honor.
Kelly, could we get a roll call?
Commissioner Day,
Present.
Commissioner Kanda,
Here.
Commissioner Flower,
Present.
Attorney Clint Smith,
Present.
and Clerk to the Board Kelly Camper present.
Audience introductions. We'll start right up front here.
Bob McDonald, Airport.
Daniel Carlisle. JD Henrich.
Bob Jolly, Airport.
And at the desk. He's not going to answer. Jordan.
Mr. Life is good himself.
There you go. And then I think we've got a couple online. If anyone goes to speak later, if you could identify yourself for the record, that would be greatly appreciated. Okay, any amendments to the agenda?
No, sir. None here.
None here either. Commissioner items, Commissioner Flower.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Since yesterday, really, the only thing to report, obviously, we had a workshop yesterday afternoon that we interviewed candidates for the BOCC admin assistant position, and then spent part of the afternoon out at Custer County Recycles. Took one of the trailers out that we had over at Dundee Dog Park, emptied it. Just met with some people out there, Joey Liebman, a couple others, talked about what was going on. Trying to get a board meeting scheduled. I believe they have decided on the 11th. Still waiting for confirmation on that. Other than that,
Mr. Kanda.
Nothing. Except we had great hamburgers with the sheriff.
yeah, I attended the National Night Out as well.
Or go work with the airport guys as we always do, and we're gonna hear all about it.
I'm glad you gentlemen made it to the night out. I did not make it.
I could report on one other thing, sorry.
Go ahead, sir.
I did get the list of applicants for the extension position. Currently, there are 6. So we will see with that. They did send the applications yesterday. I got an email, haven't looked through them yet, but. So we're hoping September, first part of September, we'll get a extension.
That was all through CSU, what they approved already. Good. That's pretty good deal.
Yeah, they just forwarded on their
Okay.
copy of the application
Right.
for those 6.
They looked at it.
Which is 3 or 4 more than I thought we would end up getting. Sure.
Quite a few. Well, I did run caught Scott from Road and Bridge, and we ran out north and did take a look at Vermont Pines and some of the roads in that area. Looking pretty good now that the rain dried up just a little bit. That section on Vermont set down and
Quit ice skating on it.
yeah, so it's looking really good. It'll set up good now and be no problem. So that's all looking good. They got a bunch of pipes cleaned and stuff in that country. So maybe we can avoid some of the water issues next spring on that as well. That's pretty much what I did last night. So
Yeah, you know, I might add one more thing, just save me from having to do it later on.
Go ahead.
If I may. So we did get an invoice from Rocky Mountain Crane Service for the work done unloading the baler equipment on the 11th. Well, was the crane company was here on the 11th. Unfortunately, the equipment to be unloaded wasn't because the guy's truck broke down. So came back on the 4th. And did the job. We got an invoice of $2,670. So I talked to the broker that we dealt with out of Denver about, hey,
That included his round trip. and
we
then just
need
empty road
to
trip.
talk about cost sharing the extra money. And so he talked to the trucking company out of Minnesota, as did I, and they all agreed, yeah, we'll work something out. And so I got an email yesterday from our broker, said that he was able to negotiate a $740 decrease discount on that invoice. And so he asked if we wanted to use that as a credit on our account with him. That's where we get our wire and stuff for, if he wants to write a check back. So that's one of the agenda items they'll deal with at the board meeting. I think it'd probably be cleanest just to write a check back to us. It was a little weird the way they broke everything out. On the 11th, they billed 5.5 hours total. On the 12th, it was also 5.5 hours. So that 5.5 hours on the 12th came to $2,200, but the way they billed us and the way the time was split between the 11th and 12th was kind of funky. So I had requested $1,200 discount and they're offering $740. So
When did you want to discuss that?
the board, recycle board, I'm assuming will make the decision about what they want to do. Unless we usurp that and say this is what we're going to do.
I need a recommendation from them, probably.
Yeah, because that was grant dollars, I just think we'd be better off getting the money back than putting it on. But
Not a bank.
so anyway, that's where we're at there.
That's the way I would go.
Yeah, so I will send an email to Joni and Kathy Lurie, the manager, and see. Tell them that's what we think we ought to do and go from there. Thank you.
You bet. Mr. Smith.
Yesterday, after our brief meeting, I went over to meet with our new planning and zoning director and talk to her and see if there was anything I could do to help, and spent about an hour with her. She had 4 files that she wanted me to look at. One of them was, I suggested she talk to the property owner. I know who he is, and I think there's a problem that I think she could work out very easily with him. And there was another one that had to do with an easement, somebody blocking an easement. I explained that's not a planning and zoning issue. They can't get that easement problem worked out. It's a matter for get an attorney and go to court on it. But we don't deal with, somebody blocking an easement and whether it's a valid easement or not. I took 2 files home. One, after I looked at it, I thought or decided there needed to be a little bit more investigation. So I gave that back to her this morning and suggested that if she and Kristen can get out to the place in question, take some pictures so I could see more about what it's about somebody that may be operating an illegal campground on their property, but I need to see more about it. And then finally, one that I spent a lot of time on yesterday afternoon was writing a letter to some property owners that apparently have multiple violations that are going on. They have 5 different open permits for things that are being used allegedly.
Where is that?
Well, it's out in the Pines
Pines
Ranch
area.
area, out in that area. I don't want to.
No, I didn't mean, I just want to know generally.
Yeah, it's out in that area, County Road 179. So I wrote a 3-page letter there, and we have some, Dorothy has some pretty good information from a former employee who spent time on that property, and kind of a whistleblower type thing, so that one could very well be one that ends up going into litigation, but we'll see where we're at. I said to contact Dorothy as soon as they receive my letter, the property owners receive my letter, and I want them to come in and meet with Dorothy, and that I want to be present during that meeting. So that's what I did yesterday.
And I'm gonna look to you again, see if you have anything for us today, so.
Oh, good.
All right. Public comment, if anybody has anything they'd like to comment on at this time that's not on the agenda, feel free to do so at this time. Not seeing any hands up online. Okay. That will take us to our County Board of Equalization. I believe that we have one item to hear on that here this morning. And I believe that is probably why you were here this morning.
Yes.
Yeah, so Mr. Chairman, I would move that we adjourn our, I guess we can adjourn it, but
Recess.
to take it, probably better take a recess, yeah, that we take a recess for Board of County Commissioners meeting and convene the Board of Equalization.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor then to take a recess from the BOCC meeting and to convene the Board of Equalization. Those in favor signify by.
Well,
Okay, go ahead.
thank you, sir.
Adjourn better than recess.
I think it is because I'm not sure we can. Well, I don't
We
know,
can.
maybe it's splitting hairs.
Recess, I was gonna go out on the playground for a while.
Right. I wonder,
You
I
turn
guess
off
we do
the
whatever we want.
recess, we'd still turn off the machine.
Either, well, no,
No, we
it'll still
could,
be.
but we don't have
No,
to.
I think it should still be recorded, just. as
I'm
a
just
board.
gonna record it separately.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
adjourn and then reconvene is fine.
Yeah, I'm just not sure we can have another meeting while we're in recess. I
Okay.
don't know
I
about
don't
that.
know. Mox needs.
You gotta-
Okay.
I'm
Would
good.
you like
do
to
that.
restate your motion, sir?
If we adjourn,
Withdraw.
do we have to, we don't have to stop our live streaming, correct? It can continue, so I'd feel better with changing my motion to adjourn.
And your second?
I'll agree.
Yeah, probably 6 1 and half a dozen. of them.
All right, so I have a motion on the floor then to adjourn the BOCC meeting and to convene the County Board of Equalization. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, now just give me 1 minute.
We will do that.
Procedurally, I would suggest that maybe you have JD go first and explain what he did, and then Mr. Carlisle can, say what he has to say.
We can say what we have to say.
And then you can all ask him questions and then, discuss it and come to your decision.
Works for me.
Yeah, and then I think
Okay. we're
for
fine.
the record, Mr. Chair, you would just call that meeting to order. That's a regular meeting, because all we've done was vote to do it. You would actually need to call the meeting.
We gotta call an order.
Okay, so you're ready to go now? All right, so today is Wednesday, August 3rd, 2022. The time is now 9:13 a.m. I'm Kevin Day, Chair of the Custer County Board of Commissioners.
Yep.
Board of Equalization. I'll change hats. And I will call to order this meeting of the Custer County Board of Equalization at this time.
Call.
And we'll do a roll call.
Commissioner Day,
Present.
Commissioner Kanda.
Here.
Commissioner Flower.
Present.
Attorney Clint Smith.
I'm not sure I'm the attorney for the Board of Equalization unless they pay me more money, but I'm present.
He he'll watch.
Always clear down the money with you.
It does, that's how lawyers work.
And clerk to the Board of Equalization, Kelly Camper present.
Okay. And, I don't know that we need to go back through the other introductions at this time. So if you would like to join us up front, JD, that would be great. And if you would like to come up as well, you're welcome to stay where you're at, or you can come up as
Good
well.
morning.
Say
Good
JD.
morning. I'll probably be back and forth then because I've got handouts here. This is my notice of determination of Mr. Carlisle, and on the back is sending it to you folks. For some reason, he sent it to me instead of to you, but I was nice enough to forward it on rather than trashing it. I don't know, because you need a copy, Kelly?
Please.
Of the stuff.
I have a copy, I just don't know whether-
So this year is not a reappraisal year, so we don't typically reappraise properties in the even year unless there's a change to the property. This property was originally, a permit was pulled in 2018 to begin building it. It's been under construction ever since. For 2022, we put it on as basically 100% done, and that's why the increase, because it was only partially done. Now we put it on as 100% done.
2018 when it started.
That's when it started. The permit was pulled and the construction started shortly after. We have a value of $204,482. Mr. Carlisle appealed, saying that the valuation should be 130,000. Well, I think he actually said 100,000, then he changed to 130. Anyhow, his reasoning is the same as it was on here. It says, what is your estimate of property as of June 30th, 2020? I think that's where our confusion comes in.
Okay, can time out just a second. So where are you reading from?
Right here on the back of
Okay.
the form.
Second paragraph. on
Yeah,
the second
petition to
half.
County Board
Okay,
of Equalization.
got it.
Says your estimate of the property's value as of June 30th, 2020. He's saying 130,000.
Mhm.
And if you look at what he wrote below, the house was listed in 2020 for 150,000, did not sell. The house price was raised and still did not sell, had no showing. So he's saying, okay, 150,000 was listed for, it didn't sell, so obviously it was worth less. So he's saying 130. I think that's where the confusion comes in, because there are two dates that I have to deal with. I have to deal with the appraisal date of June 30th, 2020, and I have to deal with the assessment date of January 1st, 2022. The assessment date by law, January 1st, 2022, we have to look at what is on the property at that time, what's the inventory of the property, what shape is it in, and then we value it based on if that property had been there, what it would have sold for back on June 30th, 2020. So January 1st, 2022, we said the property is now 100% done. So we have to value it at 100% because it's now done, but we have to value it as if it had existed back on June. It did not exist as 100% done back then, but because it's done January 1st, we have to value it as if it had existed as being done
During that year.
during that year. And so that's why we valued it. That's why it went up. I think the confusion is the June 30th. He's saying it wasn't done. I only had it for sale for 150. I've got for everyone, this is from the Division of Property Taxation, explaining the date of appraisal and assessment date, the difference. I've just kind of explained it, but so again, we have to look at the inventory of the property on January 1st of each year, but then value it back as if it had existed, which isn't normally a problem except on properties that are under construction.
Just real quick, Jamie, when you
Yes,
say
sir.
appraisal, is that your appraisal or somebody else's appraisal?
That's my appraisal.
Okay,
Yeah.
I wanna make sure everybody understands.
Is that Kristen that does that?
Kristen and myself, yes.
Okay.
And then I also took the time to go to the Colorado Legal Resources website and print out the information on the assessment date, just so you've got the actual statute showing that I have to go by what was there January 1st. It doesn't matter about the June 30th. I have to go by what was there January 1st of each year.
Is this permit still open or not?
I have no idea.
It's been closed
It's
since
been
2018.
Okay.
2000,
but it was not 100% done until.
No,
recently.
Custer County's planning and zoning board just has 4 walls and a roof is considered closed out.
Yeah. So we valued the property as being 100% done. And then we rolled it back to what would it have sold for at 100% done on June 30th. How I did that was we look at comparable sales that sold
Did
in
a comparative
2019 through, through June 20th, through June 30th of 2020. I found 4 houses that were very similar. The big difference was the land value because he's out at Lake Louise and the land value is very minimal, $2,000, as you can see there. So the first thing you do when you appraise is you value the land as if it was vacant, and then you value the house. So just doing a quick
Were you
down.
looking at the $2,000 on the land on the
Uh,
deed itself, on the backside? Yeah, there you go. Got it.
That's on the notice evaluation.
Yeah,
We have
got
the
it.
land at 2,000 and,
Make sure it was the same.
right.
Okay.
So I did 4 sales. His house is roughly 1,000 square feet. Does that sound correct?
Yeah, it's like 920.
Yeah. So I found ones that were 1,000 square feet or less that sold during that time frame. No garage, very comparable. One of them was in Centennial Ranch. His property has a holding tank because there's not enough room to put in a septic, doesn't have a well, he's hauling water.
No basement.
No,
No
no
space.
basement. There is a small upstairs loft, but the one in Centennial Ranch has no well, has no septic. So I tried to find as comparable as I could. When you subtract out the land value, I have what the home sold for per square foot. And down on the bottom, the subject property is Mr. Carlisle's. You can see I'm valuing him the same, actually less than the other ones that sold, but it's very close.
Number 4 is it.
Number 5, the subject down here.
Oh, the
Where's the
subject down
subject?
here. Got it.
That's his. So those 4 sales, you can see what they sold for, year built. You can see all of them are older than his. And yet the sales price per square foot was a little bit higher than his, when you subtract out the land value and just look at the building. So I felt like I was valuing him fairly. The property's now 100% done. We're valuing it 100% done. We're using sales from the appropriate time frame to value it for June 30th. I've got it valued, even though it's newer, I've got it valued less than most of these, including ones that have no well, no septic. And I don't know, I just felt like I wasn't,
So if you run the numbers, it's 184,000 roughly square foot for 900 and, what'd you say, 60 feet?
yeah, I think we have closer to 1,000 square feet. I think we have like 980 or something, but
Nine.
not
Well,
that big
sounds
a
like
deal.
It's 9. Is it 980?
It's in the 9s. It's not 1,000.
Yeah.
There's a loft inside the house.
Right, exactly. If you throw in the loft, it comes out to like 980 or something. I don't remember exactly.
186,000.
Yeah. So
Then you
anyhow,
add 2,000 to that, you get.
yeah, we're at 2,000. Well, it's on that
you
form
come
I
up
sent
with
you right
that,
there.
so
Um,
I'm just trying to get to
Yeah.
202.
Yeah. So anyhow, I felt like that was fair. Mr. Carlisle has had the property for sale since, I don't know, 2018, 2019. As of 2022, being 100% done, he has the property listed for sale at $324,000. I'm saying 204, and he's telling me I'm too high. Now, the reason I have it less is because we're not looking at what it would currently sell for. We're looking at what it would have sold for in June of 2020. And that was before we had this huge increase where everything's going up. So I used sales from that time frame to value it.
Let me ask a quick one.
Sure.
Did you get an official appraisal for you to list it at that, or was that just your estimate?
Talk about that.
Okay. I'll make
Yeah.
sure we're comparing apples and apples.
Right.
Can I ask you, these sales
Yeah.
dates for the comparables,
Mhm.
what, never mind, I see that 20. I was wondering
Yeah.
what year, but that's March.
Yeah, by law,
2020.
that June 30th
Yeah.
date, by law, we have to use sales in 2019 and the first half of 2020
Okay.
to come up with what they would sell for. So that's what I did. I felt like when he appealed the first time, I felt like looking at all this, looking at comparable sales, we were treating him fairly. If I didn't think we were, I would have made an adjustment, but I felt like we were, especially when he's asking 320 some thousand. So I just didn't see any way that we could get down to 130 when everything else is selling for this much and the property is now 100% done. So I don't know if Mr. Carlisle has any questions. I don't know if you do, but That's pretty much how I arrived at it. That's pretty much why I left it. And I'm good if you guys don't have any questions.
We will. But that's
Okay.
Let's hear his side.
You can sit up there, Mr. Fowler.
You got it.
Welcome. How are you, Tom Flower?
Kevin Day.
Nice to meet you.
Bill Ken. Nice to meet you.
All right, I'm Daniel Carlisle. Good. So I do have my computer with my comparables as well.
I would mention that I was not given any comparables or any reason why it was 130 when he initially appealed, other than I had it for sale for 150 and it wouldn't sell for that back in 2020.
Okay.
You may proceed.
All right, so to talk to you about the appraisal, I've never gotten an appraisal on the property. I've never had somebody come in and give me an estimate of what it should be.
No comparative market analysis.
No, nothing like that. And the reason why I have it listed at $325,000 right now is because that's the price that I like to call make me move price. And with everybody selling their houses around Westcliff for more money, and I'll agree with JD that the prices of houses are going up. I moved here in 2008 and things have risen quite a lot. But I don't believe that high. So at that 320,000, if somebody wants to give me that, that's great. I'll move. But if not, that'll be the same case. And that's the exact same reason why the house has been listed in the past for the prices that it's been listed at. So when it was listed at 149,500, which was in 2020, it was listed at 149,500. I also would have taken $149,000 back then, and I would have moved, as well as all the price increases over the last 2 years. But nobody's offered me a dime for the property, so I don't believe that it's worth what it's worth. One of my, and I also wanted to talk about the Centennial Ranch property. When I moved out here in this, I moved out to Centennial Ranch. One of the biggest things that can make your property worth a lot of money is the land. Centennial Ranch is subdivided into 35 acres. That is appealing to a lot of people. Even if you evaluate that land to a smaller amount of money, just the appeal of 35 acres is much more appealing than what I have out there, which is 5,000 square feet is the lot size. And with the lot size only being 5,000 square feet, it doesn't appeal to a lot of people. So it should be valued as such. Another thing, as well as this property is not able to have a well on it. It's too small. You cannot drill a well at all. Not only can you not drill a well at all, you cannot put a full-size septic system with a leach field. It only has a holding tank, which has to be pumped out whenever it's filled. And the largest holding tank that could be put in there was 1,000 gallons. My water storage system is 300 gallons. So every 3 months, that septic tank has to be pumped, and that's a cost. And as well as that 300 gallons has to be filled. My comparables are actually by the lake. One of them is at 128 Limerick Lane. It is my home is technically a 2-bedroom, 1-bath home at 900 some odd square feet. This one here on Limerick Lane is it was listed in 2000. It was listed and sold July, or it was listed in July 30th, 2019 and sold in the following month on the 10th for $89,000. And it is a 3-bedroom, 1-bath. It has almost a half an acre of land with a garage, full-size septic and well, and is hooked to power. With my lot being where it is with the easements of the county road as well as other neighbors, I'm not able to get power hooked up. They won't bring in city.
You said it's a
municipal-
5 acre lot?
No, almost a half an acre.
Half an
Sorry.
acre lot.
Yeah, half an acre lot. I'm sorry if I misspoke.
Is that in the Lake Louise area?
Yes, this is right across the street from my house.
Thank you.
Yes, and it does have a garage,
It had a septic on that.
full-size septic with
That
leach field
got-
and well, and it's
So
hooked
it's
to
an
city
older,
power.
quite a lot older. When was it built?
Good question. I'm not sure when that was built.
It's odd that it has a septic system. But that's not odd in the old days.
Okay. But yeah, and then also to make the same point, that when this house sold at 89,000 in late 2019, which is where we grabbed these prices for the late 2019, early 2020 for the evaluations of what we pay now, when it sold for 89,000, this current year, which I say that the market is going up, but not at that rate, it sold last month for 165,000. The same house just sold for that. And this house has one more bedroom than mine.
We're talking Limerick,
Yes,
165.
it just sold for 165 last month.
Okay.
And that's, of course, with the power and everything. So I'm on solar, and it's completely off grid and has to be completely off grid because I can't get municipal power to the property.
Because of the cost or what?
No, because of
They won't allow
easements.
Easement, oh, really?
Yeah, so there's the county road right there, and there's no way to, there's another house next to mine, and they have power, and so I would have to acquire the property behind mine to access a pole and have them put a pole on that property, since there's not an easement that they can put the pole in, because that road goes right there. So I had the power company before
Can't
I put.
do underground.
Well, I had the power company come out there and they told me there was no way to do it,
Really?
because I would have much rather that than the expensive cost of solar. And solar to this date isn't actually allowed to be in an appraisal. It's not considered a value on a house. My other comparable is 173 Hilltop Drive, and it's also in the Lake Dewey subdivision. And in 2019, it sold for 107,000. It also has a septic with a leach field, a well, municipal power, and they are actually able to have a full-size propane tank, which my property only allows 100 gallons. Because of the property size, I can't go any more than 100 gallons. So this one sold at 107,000. And then it recently came back onto the market and sold for 220,000 on July 28th
Of this year.
of 2021. And that one sits at 13,000 square feet or 1,300 square feet. And that one is over a half an acre.
You have a year build on that house?
It was built in 2019.
So it's sold new at 107.
Brand new at 107.
Okay.
That's all I have for you.
Your house was built when?
2018.
18?
Okay.
I'll refer back to you, and I believe you stated these 4 examples that you pulled none have power or
No,
septic.
some do.
Okay,
The Centennial Ranch one does not. That's specifically why I picked it. I was having trouble finding ones that don't have power, don't have well, septic, whatever. That one did not. So I picked that one, even though it's in Centennial Ranch, and I subtracted out land back. The other ones, as far as I know, have power.
You couldn't find anything at Lake Louise at the time you did.
I didn't see any. That's why I'm kind of, were these valid sales? I mean, it wasn't like.
Yeah, they're on the assessor's website.
Yeah, well, I know, but we list all, I can sell it to my sister and give her half price and it shows up on my website.
Okay.
So that's why I'm asking, are these valid sales between non-related people, all that? Because a lot of times there's.
How did you get them? Maybe that's.
Well, he found them on our website. but
Yeah,
These are on that.
Yeah, through-
Like I say, we
real
list all
estate.
sales on the website. If you sell me the courthouse
No,
for
I get it.
$1, we list that on.
But you don't have a realtor name on anything.
Yeah, I've got the realtor names for all these sales,
Yeah.
and we can
For the
contact
second
with
sales.
Custer,
for the
yeah.
First sales.
The sale of 173 Hilltop Drive, that was sold originally when it was brand new by Custer County Realty. And then the other one, when it sold, was, it's just called West Cliff Listing Services. And then Limerick Lane was originally sold by Berkshire Hathaway. And then Custer County Realty.
Okay, if Berkshire Hathaway sold it, it was a foreclosure that got sold. I don't know
How
about
do,
the other
how,
one. but
how
that
do we
one-
know that?
Because Berkshire Hathaway does not sell up here other than foreclosure properties. They sell for banks and stuff generally. I don't know for sure, but that would be my guess. I don't know.
Who's your listing agent
Mine,
for your property?
it was Kimberly.
Do you have it listed currently?
No.
So you took it off the market.
Yes,
The last time it was on the market was for
320 or 319.
what's your asking price? So if I understand correctly,
Actually, the asking price, because here's the ad, was $324,900.
Right, and then it was decreased to 319.
can I look at that again, please?
Yes, you may.
Thank you.
You had asked what it was last listed for, and that was 319.
Okay. So you have this house. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. On roughly 5,000 square foot lot,
Yes,
no power, no water, no well, and no septic.
JD, what's the payment for taxes?
I have no
When you
clue. I don't do
calculate
the math. I don't care about
What's-
taxes.
Well, I was
care
just
about
wondering what
value
the
of the
cost
property.
is to him before and after.
I have, does anybody have a calculator?
I do.
They could get a
I don't
rough
have a clue.
estimate.
I can get you a ballpark.
That'd be good.
Yeah, one of my questions was what kind of a difference in tax rate?
Yeah,
are you looking at?
Everyone thinks I care about taxes. I don't. I care about, I don't even know what the taxes are. when
Well, you
we put
do
them
in a roundabout way.
on. Yeah, well,
He gets paid by taxes. Like,
482.
Listen, I'll give you 25 grand.
taxes are gonna be a lot more.
And you're not living in the house currently, is that correct?
I am occasionally.
Okay,
I travel for work.
okay. It's not rented out to somebody else? No. Okay. I saw your Colorado Springs address.
It's gonna be, for what it currently is, it's gonna be about $910.
and currently.
With at the
is
202, 482. And then what else do you want to know?
What
What it
was
is
he-
at
what was it
130?
now, yeah, or, yeah.
The 130 he's asking for? Is that what you're on?
Yeah. Probably not much different.
Be 580.
Okay.
So what is that? 300?
320.
Yeah, roughly 400 a year.
Obviously, we're not in the real estate business, but I want to ask you if I may, Mr. Chairman, sorry.
go ahead, sir.
So I think I understand why you believe your property is worth less than $200,000. Because of the things I just mentioned, right? No water, no well, no power, and no electric
Power, same.
What are you doing for power now? Totally solar?
Yeah, 100% solar.
Yeah, it has power. It's just not hooked onto the grid. It's solar
Right,
power.
off grid. I didn't mean no power, I meant no grid power. I think I understand that. What I don't understand is how you believed that that property is worth over 300,000 now,
I don't.
but you agreed to list it at that, correct?
Right.
Okay,
And if somebody was willing to pay me that much,
understood.
that would be great.
Got it. I find it hard to do an apples to apples comparison if your comps, JD, included grid power.
Yeah, some do.
And septic. It would be what, 20, 30 grand difference between grid power and off-grid power if it was available, I would guess.
Yeah, I don't know. What we've found countywide, if it's just has solar, it sells for just as much as if it's on the grid. You won't find the same number of buyers. There'll be fewer buyers. But there are people that want to be off grid. They'll pay just as much. And there are people that prefer to be off grid because they say the power never goes out. So we don't typically make an adjustment for that because we've tried and they sell for the same. To me, the big issue is the well and the septic, and that's hard to do because I don't have many that sold without well and septic, so I don't know how much. But I guess, Mike, if I'm allowed to ask a question, so would you sell it for 130,000 today?
In 2019, when it was listed.
Yeah.
I would have.
Yeah, but it was only partially done then. Today, being fully done, would you sell it for 130,000?
We're not talking about today. We're
Yeah,
talking
okay,
about
that answered the
2019.
question. Thank you.
Yeah, that adds another wrench in the works to me, JD. We gotta go back and treat this like it was completed in 2020.
June 30, 2020.
But we're assessing in 2022.
Right, we're saying the condition it's in 2022, what would it have sold for in 2020? And that's why we're using, both of us are using comparables from 2019 and 2020. You don't want to use comparable sales from today because they're going to be different. That's why both Mr. Carlisle and myself are using comparables from that time frame to try and see what things are selling for.
No. Excuse me just a second. There, folks were trying to listen. I was going to shut the door from the extraneous noise out there, but. Yeah, I mean, why are you appealing this?
Because, well, there's a few reasons why. One, I don't agree with the evaluation. Two, percentage wise, from the time that I bought the property till now has gone up almost 4,000%. When I bought the property, I get that the taxes at the time were like $19, but since I've been in this county, the taxes have not stopped going up. The evaluation of property taxes, now we have to submit records for purchasing outside of the county for more taxes. And
Which
so,
has been on the books for years, by the way.
right. Well, when I started building in 2018 in Centennial Ranch, it wasn't.
It was on the books.
Okay, they just weren't enforcing it then. Okay. And so going up 4,000% in taxes is that's just too much.
When you bought the property, it was bare ground.
Yes.
Okay.
I think you had a question as well.
Yeah, I think the biggest drawback is no septic vault and no water. That's a big which makes me wonder why you bought it. But it's okay, I understand.
Okay.
Your choice. And that would be a significant difference on the comps, and that would be a professional appraiser takes those into account and would do something different. And JD's a professional with what he does and how he does it. So, but you have, to me, you have a case to make it some lower. It's never going to be 2,000% lower.
Right.
You know,
And that's why I came up with that evaluation.
but if, when you comp, and these are real comps that you use, they're real sales. I mean, you can see the difference in when a house has water and power
Right.
and septic. Septic's a big deal.
Yeah.
So I see that. We have to do some thinking on what that means. Actual cost, your taxes, or, maybe if it's 900, it would go down some. If we had somebody else do a CNA on, maybe that's the next step, is to get another option here for us to take a look at before we move forward. Be my thought.
Look like you have
Well,
another question.
I'm dying to ask. I don't really know. We don't have very many Board of Equalization meetings. So my experience is fairly limited in dealing with these, but I understand the real estate game to some degree. So I get the whole make me move price, not interested in that. I would ask you, certainly you can decide not to answer it. What would you sell that house for today?
I don't know. I would have to have a legitimate offer in front of me that could actually purchase the house.
Yeah, I'm conflicted between an asking price, certainly an inflated asking price, in my opinion, based on the properties I understand it, and your argument that it's being appraised too high. If you were selling the house for 140 and we were trying to tax you on 204, I could see that's an issue. But it doesn't seem to be that that's the case. That's kind of the information I have to go on. I wouldn't normally argue that 204 might be a little high for evaluation based on your property. But that's offset by the fact that you have it listed for 100,000 more than what it was appraised at, or what it was valued at. You actually do an appraisal, correct?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So it's
I
fair to
have
say,
an appraisal license. I'm
right,
certified to do
that you
by the
appraised
state
the
of
property.
Colorado.
Sure.
So that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know if I made myself very clear or not.
Right.
Um,
My objection with that, though, is I can list it currently while we're all sitting in the office for $110,000. And if I list it right now online for that, would my taxes go down?
I don't, it's
Would-
not being taxed at this rate yet, correct?
Yeah, no, it's been 202,000. And I'm not looking at his listing. I just brought up his listing because I
Right.
thought it was kind of
Right,
ironic. He's telling me it's not worth 200,000 when he's asking 325.
right,
But yeah, we don't look at his listing other than
right.
down the road. We have to look at sales to value,
So-
not listings.
The 202 is what it's being assessed at
That's what
right
it's being
now.
assessed at for 2022,
Okay.
based on it being 100% done.
Okay. And
That's the 2022 or the 2020 evaluation?
That's the 2022 evaluation. That's why I said January 1st, 2022, we have to evaluate it
like,
based on the condition of the house being 100% done, all the things that are there, and then say, okay, this exists in this space, January 1st, 2022. If it existed like that back in June 30th, 2020, what would it have sold for?
and your answer to that is 202.
202.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mr. Ken.
Yeah, just real quick.
Yeah.
I hear, I could put my house to a list for $1 million. It was only, let's say, $500,000. I get that. And if somebody were to sell it or buy it, then that's fine. Your taxes were whatever it was, it doesn't matter. But that sale will affect the appraisals later on future properties, because all of a sudden, maybe the next guy does the same thing. So
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
think what you put it on necessarily matters. I think it matters how JT assessed it. He did a professional assessment based on comps. The comps we can argue with, because some of his comps had septic and water and electric. Others didn't. So, all appraisers can be different and appraisals can be. And if it were me to take a look at what really fair is, I'm got a small property, very small house, sitting on a piece of very small ground. It requires a vault and no water. You have to bring your water in a cistern. And so it's going to make that very less likely that somebody's going to be appealing to buy it unless the price is right.
Right.
So I understand that. And I think for me to make a decision, I would like to see another, because this is what happens in the real world. Every appraiser, and as a matter of fact, FSJ, I just went through one with a friend of ours that needed help. And they required a second appraisal because they thought the other appraiser was too high. And so they went and got appraisal, and sure enough, it was a little high, but they didn't account for water. There's little quirks on every appraisal. So, I would, given your circumstances, just my position is I would like to have some comp done on that, or a CMA, and you don't have to have an appraisal, but you get a certified person that can do a comparative market analysis that will compare like properties a little more and compensate for, there's a difference. Add and subtract values for whatever the property has. In your case, you got a lot of lesses on the property. And so that can happen. JD did a good job with what he had, and it's somewhere up there, but he didn't compensate necessarily. And he brought the land value prices down and all that, or what he figured it was. So that's sort of where I am. I don't know. I haven't had any more experience than Tom has on board of equalization issues, but I don't think I think it's fair to say that we could ask for more data unless we get pushed on.
The county attorney should speak in
Yeah,
here.
then
I'm not sure you're allowed to. I think it's like.
Just maybe
that's what I was gonna ask. I don't know
You
either.
take this testimony
Right.
Yeah,
and you decide, and you
Maybe
have
that's
to do
it.
it in a very short time frame. I don't think you have. time
that's
to
why
do
that's
A third opinion, but I don't know for sure. I'm not a lawyer.
yeah. I have to ask Clint the same thing.
I think what you're asking for is something that
We-
we could have looked at had you brought a different appraisal with you today.
Yeah.
Is what I'm thinking I'm hearing here.
Yeah, you did a good job with yourself. That's not an independent opinion.
Go ahead.
Well, I
sir.
feel like even an assessor, it's all an opinion.
Sure.
It's just
Right.
taking the facts of what other properties have sold and then you assess and create an analysis. to the
Absolutely,
facts.
that's the definition of appraisal.
So,
It's an opinion of value based on sales
What it
of
is.
comparable property.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What do you think your property is worth?
back in 2020, I believe that it was worth less than 150,000.
Even if it was fully done at that point. Because I think that's where we're having
Yeah,
issues.
that's right.
I'm valuing it as being fully done. You keep saying, well, back in 2020, I would have done that, but if it was done today, what do you think it would have sold for back in 2020?
So the only difference from where it is now to where it was in 2020 was cabinets, carpet, and flooring. The water system was in, the
Right,
drywall was in,
right.
everything was in. And that evaluation, I don't think when it was listed, I don't think a lot of people at the time would have thought too much because they could have finished the house the way they wanted, which is their cabinets, their countertops, and their floors.
So let me rephrase my question again. Because we're forced to go back to 2020 at 100% completion,
Right.
what do you believe that property was worth?
I mean, I suppose, and that's just a hard thing because at 150,000, I didn't get a single person to look at it.
Right.
So there was nobody who was even interested in the property at 150. So with nobody giving any kind of feedback back then of what they were concerned about the home, it's hard to assess what.
I understand that. I've always believed anything that is of value is worth what somebody's willing to pay you for.
Right.
So the asking price, the listing price, a lot of that goes out the window to some degree. if you subscribe to the philosophy of, in this case, your house is just gonna be exactly worth what somebody's willing to pay for. Right.
But I will add, you can see my frustration in dealing with Mr. Carlisle when he comes in. And he has no comparable sales. He has no CMA. He has no appraisal. And I say, what do you think it's worth? 100,000. Really? You're saying it's worth, now that it's finished, it's worth less? Okay, I'll go 130. I mean, he's pulling figures out of the air. And that's why I turned him down. I looked at comparable sales. And he's done a much better job today doing presentations for you guys than he ever did for me. You have to admit that. You gave me
Absolutely.
0 to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm 100% behind you there, Dave.
Well, yeah, so when they walk in and go, well, it's just too high, it's a little hard for me, well, why, I didn't know it didn't have the well and septic. But, so that was my question was, what would it, well, I never got an answer to that either. And it doesn't look like you're gonna get one, and so that's the hard part is, we're not being given information on, there was never an appraisal done, he's not willing to say what it would have sold for back then, so we're just kind of up in limbo, so I'm like, I've given you a figure, you haven't given me anything to dissuade me from that figure, so that's why I stayed with it. Now, you guys can do whatever you want, but I'm just saying that's why we're here, because I got no information to back down from my figure.
Right. Got it.
We don't do very many of these, because if I'm given proper information and I agree it's too high, I'll make an adjustment. But I was giving nothing in this case, so,
And I'll definitely make a note going forward.
yeah, because I'm sure we'll see
Present
each
something
other
like
again.
this.
Because he is your point of contact.
Oh, absolutely,
You
absolutely.
know, you may not have ever came this far. Had
Well-
that been provided.
Right.
Right.
JD,
Yes, sir.
given the information provided today. And I know this is off the cuff.
Yeah, I don't know, because I don't remember seeing those sales. I was trying to look at sales and like the valid sales. I don't know. I'm not saying they're not there. I just don't remember seeing them when I looked. But I had to do this you got to figure, I do 10,000 appraisals in a year. You hire an appraiser for a bank, he's gonna spend 2-3 weeks doing an appraisal. I have to do 10,000 of them a year. We're doing what's called mass appraisal.
Yeah.
So I don't have time to pick into, and we're talking, what did we decide, $350, $400 in taxes? The county gets 20% of that. I've already spent more than that dealing with this.
In this room
It's not like
today.
I can spend hours and days on one of these. We do our best. I don't know. Maybe my 200,000, and you guys know what things have been selling for even back then. Maybe it's a little too high. I honestly think it'd be more than 130, but whatever you guys want to do, you're the board. I'm not.
Mr.
Thank
Farr.
you, Mr. Chairman.
So do you believe at that 150 that it was listed for, if it was finished, that I would have been able to get 150 back then?
Hard to say. If it was finished, I would think at least 150, yeah, but I don't know. It is a unique property, I'll say that. It's hard to, it's one of those where you gotta find the right buyer.
Mr. Farr.
Thank you, sir. So what's your ask of us? We need a number.
I think cause I don't want to shoot myself in the foot here and say in 2020, I could have got that and have to pay more in taxes for the rest of my life, because taxes on properties don't go down, they only go up. So it being listed at 150, not complete, the realtors seemed to think that they were even high listing it at 150. So maybe 150 if it was 100% complete 2
Which-
years ago.
Which we have to assume that it is and what.
Yeah, you have to
That's what
assume,
we're making our
because-
decision based on.
Right, because we're doing it based on
Right,
2022 payable in 2020.
right. Not if it was done, we're considering it done in 2020.
You would have had to.
And we're trying to
That's what I have to do. by
assess a
law.
value for it.
Correct.
And that way that gives from the 130,000 that I had offered. It gives you $20,000 to do flooring, cabinets and countertops. Which is more than what it takes to do flooring, countertops and cabinets. Cause that's all that was missing in the house at the time.
But that's sometimes business that happens. People buy things and can't get them sold.
It is a unique property.
Chairman,
Sir,
And this isn't my decision at all. I'm just speaking as 14 years as a judge. You make a decision based on evidence and not kind of speculation or guesses. You have one figure presented to you by a certified appraiser with many years of experience, and you have a property owner who has not gotten an appraisal or presented any other professional opinion. He's presenting his own opinion, and so you have to weigh those things together. But as a judge, I think you can understand where I'm going on this. I just wanted to make that up.
Now that being said, though, we already said that JD is overwhelmed, 10,000 appraisals a week, and then he also gives comparables
Not a
from,
week. I have
or I mean, a
10,000.
year, I'm sorry, a year.
but he
10,000
does a
year.
very good job with that.
Absolutely, but, and then I will
Stick to
say
your evidence.
May I finish
Okay.
my
Yeah,
statement?
absolutely,
Please.
absolutely.
It is a unique property. I find it hard to believe that you could not get power in. You could get an easement if you worked at it. But that's beside the point here. It does not have power, but that's just to speak to that. I think I personally would be based upon your comparables and versus JD's comparables. I personally think I would be willing to go somewhere in the neighborhood of 180 for the house. And that is my opinion
yeah.
here today.
And that's with his comparables not being near the lake or that subdivision in which
Your
the house is built.
comparables versus his
I subtracted
comparables.
out the land value.
And
Yeah.
But that's
that
subjective.
is,
Well, it's all subjective. We know
It
that.
is all
We're talking
subjective.
real estate.
so
That's true.
Yeah.
that is my opinion
Yeah.
here today.
After
Nope,
All right, so I'll say the same thing because I was going to go there too. Clint, you hit the nail on the head. It's the evidence is supported here today.
And the burden of proof is on him
On him.
too.
And he came in here with pretty good analysis that he did and some actual prices of sales. That may have been higher back then. Right now, you based it on the sales. I think it probably was less also. I think I could get comfortable with something a little lower than 180, probably 160. Okay, but that's another subjective value based on the fact. I'm with you, Kevin. You could get the power in. It's just going to cost some money to do that. You know, they said logically hanging a wire is a little thing, but they can't get a pole. So the option is get an easement, dig it in or whatever. Water is the big deal and the septic is a big deal. So that'll never bring that value up to be comparable with a 1,000 square foot house on the lake with a septic that, you know, it just ain't gonna happen. So, but I can see the point, and JD did a good job and with what he did, and you brought in some evidence, and I'm willing to go to 160 approximately, and then we can balance it out. That's my view.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If anything was clear, hard, concrete knowledge given today, it is a fact that you just said this very subjective.
Right.
I understand that. I'm trying to fight my head to not say this. I'll say it. I'm trying not to make my decision based on would I pay that kind of money for a place that doesn't have the things that your property doesn't have. I wouldn't do it. That doesn't mean somebody else.
Well, isn't that exactly what we're here about, though?
It really is
But that's that very subjective.
because,
thing,
yeah, because those other people that might are not sitting in this chair,
Okay.
right? So I have to deal with what my decision based on my perspective, perception, experience, whatever. I would think, with all respect to JD, because he does this for a living, I do not. I would think that 204,000 for 5,000 square foot lot with this house with none of the amenities on it is a little high. If I had to settle on a figure, I had already thought I could negotiate that down to about 180 and probably live with myself and not feel like we're putting the screws to you.
In 2020.
In 2020. Now, the thing about that, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's gonna be in 2022, right?
Yeah.
Also, because
Right.
whatever we decide, that
Applies,
that
man.
value is gonna carry forward from there on.
Well,
It's gonna go up.
no, you're deciding for 2022. 2023, I have to
You
reappraise
dec-
all
right.
properties based upon sales in
Right.
21
Right.
and 22. And I'll tell you right now, every property in the county is gonna go up because you know what sales are doing in 21, 22. He just showed you, things are,
They're
some of
going
those
up.
sold for double.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna double them, I hope,
Right.
but I get audited by the state and they come down and
Yeah.
they say, they pull it and they come up with a value and I better be 5% with it.
I
And
guess
so they
my,
are gonna go up.
my point was if, let's say that we settle on X number of dollars valuation.
Yeah, you guys can settle on whatever
Today.
you want.
Is that a base then moving forward
Yes.
for the rest of the time that the property is being assessed in Custer County?
Well, yes
Or
and
not.
no. I mean, I don't base it at that. It doesn't stay at that value till the end of time.
No,
It goes up, but
but do you look at the value?
yeah, we put it at that. And then what we do is we look at what,
Recess it.
Right.
reassess it based on comparable sales. And if sales have gone up 30%, 40% up, if they've gone down 20%, he said they never go down. I don't know about taxes because I don't deal with taxes.
Right.
Everybody thinks I do. I deal with home value.
Right.
Home values have gone down. In 2008, 2009, things went down. Then they went back up.
Yeah.
So yeah, we start with that and then we look at what is going on. And if the typical home is selling for 20% more, we raise them across the board 20% more because I'm doing mass appraisal. If it's selling for less, we do less. If it's selling for 50% more, we do 50%.
Okay.
So we look at what typical homes are selling for across the board and we try to do similar, but you know, we're not Highlands Ranch where you have cookie cutter houses and you know, this model sells for this. I mean, I'm doing everything from yurts and teepees to $5 million mansions and everything in between. So it's hard to find comparables. That's all.
The thing I wanted to point out too, if I may, Mr. Chair, that I feel good about here today is we're not having this conversation because we're trying to fleece you out of $50 more tax money.
I
At
understand.
least I'm not. I'm trying to look at this to be what is fair. The taxes are inconsequential on one piece of property of 5,000 square feet. So I feel good that we're not, hopefully, that you don't feel like we're trying to chisel you because we need more tax money, which we do, but we haven't had that conversation here today, right? I mean, it's not about the difference in the
Right.
taxes. We asked about it, but I don't think that's an arguing point. I think what we're trying to do is be fair.
Be the basic.
The optics of it, JD could certainly say, well, you guys do what you want. I do this for a living. This is what you pay me to do. And now you don't want to follow my recommendations and my evaluations. Okay, I get that. The process is that you have the right to come in here and appeal and state your case, and then we make the final decision. And I know whatever we do, JD will live with that. We'll probably still stay on his Christmas card list, I hope. But that's how the process is supposed to work. I think 180 would be a reasonable evaluation based on my experience as a county commissioner only, not trying to usurp what we're paying somebody to do for a living. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, my last.
Statement.
I'm not gonna say anything. Taxes and prices change every year, and based on, I just have gone through this in detail with a friend that needed help going through it in the appraisal process because they were incapable of doing it. I believe the value of the houses in this county are gonna go down because that's already just going through what I did over Christmas to here. The interest rates went way up and that inflation's going up and then people are not buying it. They can't afford to buy it. So the prices are gonna come down. There's no question about it. That doesn't matter. What matters is what we think the value of that is based on the evidence you gave us and our experience with it. It's not about how many taxes it is, and because you're right, it's 20% the county gets, it's not anything to worry about. It's what's doing what's right. And that's why I believe the value of your place is gonna go down. And I think the 150 to 160 to 170, you know, who knows? That's why I'm still good with 170 to 180, what we've been tossing around, based on your evidence. And the appraisals that you've done. So. we can figure that out from there. And I rest my case.
Do you have a last statement you'd like to make before we make a decision here? I'll give you that opportunity. Anything else you'd like to state?
No, I feel.
I'm comfortable.
I have a legal question, if I may.
You may.
So, Mr. Smith, would we entertain a motion to override, or how would that? I'm not sure about the language.
I think it would just be a simple motion to determine that the Board of Equalization has decided if you're gonna go with $180,000 figure, that would be the appropriate figure. You don't have to override or do anything else, just.
We're making a decision. We're not recommending to JD
No,
to change.
You'd be making.
We're
a
changing.
decision,
We're
yes.
changing.
Yeah, you're changing it. I have to do, in this particular case, I have to do whatever you guys say.
Okay.
Now, I could appeal that. I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to, but I could appeal it to court if I want.
All right.
I'm not going to because I don't have the time or the effort or care enough to do it. But, yeah, I mean, if you're gonna do what you're doing, just split the difference or make it 175. That's almost splits the difference.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I'm interested in being fair, and I know JD's interested in being fair and also doing what's right. No question in my mind about that. So I would move that we assess Mr. Carlisle's property at the evaluation level of 175.
I'll second that.
Question,
Yes.
are you moving to assess the property or assess the dwelling?
Place the value.
The parcel, the total property, yes.
The total
Yeah.
evaluation?
Land and building.
Okay, I wanted to be clear on that because there are two different figures on this.
That's correct.
So the combined total at, what did you say?
175.
At one
I
hundred
second.
75,000 with a second. Okay, I have a motion on the floor to change the evaluation for Mr. Carlisle for a total evaluation of $175,000. Further discussion. Okay. Public discussion on that?
I don't know if you can.
Yeah, but I guess that would be your call. I'll support whatever you decide, but that's certainly
My
our
view is
choice.
because
Any
it's a-
public comment on that? I'm not seeing any hands up. Those in favor of said motion signify by saying aye.
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 All right, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming.
Appreciate you guys' time.
You did a good job.
Oh, thank you.
Do you want that or not?
By the way, just
One of the-
off comments, nice looking interior. You did you do that all by
Do you need
yourself?
anything else from us other than that?
Good job.
Kelly will
The
Kelly
minutes?
will send out an official announcement to Mr. Carlisle and to me. I mean, we both know I'll go up and change it immediately. But Kelly should
Okay.
send out an official something to Mr.
Okay.
Carlisle and.
We don't need anything from our office other than
Well,
that.
just that.
Yeah.
On letterhead.
Yeah, it'll be on letterhead as an official thing that the value is set at that, and it should go to Mr. Carlisle and to myself for both of our records. So when I get audited and the state says, why did you change this? I can show because I was ordered to by.
Jerk water board of
Okay.
adjustment.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you both. Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Carlisle, JD, thank you both.
No problem.
Call for just a 5-minute recess.
I will,
Gotta get out of this thing.
I will
Do we adjourn this one?
adjourn the meeting of the Board of Equalization at this time. We will reconvene the Board of Commissioners in approximately 5 minutes.
That was exactly an hour.
Whenever you're ready, Jordan. Okay, good morning again. This is Kevin Day, Chair of the Custer County Board of County Commissioners. I will now reconvene or call to order the second portion of our Board of County Commissioners for August 3rd, 2022. We are down to our staff reports. I would invite the airport to come forward and
Keep it simple.
Good morning, good afternoon.
Good job.
Hello, sir.
Good job hanging in here.
I thought they got up and left for good.
Yeah, I had a heck of enough of this.
go get ready to cook them dogs.
Okay, so listen, let me just get to my my notes here. Yeah, I know.
Or you use that if it's the same.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, it better be the same. You got something different to say?
Actually, I do. No. Okay, so we'll go with fuel sales for the month of July. 802.9 gallons sold. That brought in $4,354.20.
802.
Yeah, 802.9. And so that leaves us with 2,127.5 gallons in the tank. 7/13/22, we received 1,987 gallons. And we upped the price to $7.75 a gallon.
That's what it is currently,
That's what it is at the moment,
$7.75.
$7.75. It's still 20-30 cents less than many surrounding areas.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Does that reflect our generally accepted practice of 50 cents a gallon over the cost?
Yeah, we paid $7.20, so we're actually a nickel higher than typically. But that covers a credit card, 3% fees. Blah, blah, blah. So we are above average. Excuse me. Okay. We'll move to the 12,000 gallon tank. I'll be meeting with Pollitt Electric and Paxton Electric this week. I've spoke to both of them to get some quotes to get the electrical hooked up. Brian Anderson and I last week met with Brad Huff.
You had Huff last week or the week before?
Well, yeah, it was about 10 days ago. He came out, we showed him what's going on. He decided he's too busy, so he forwarded some other folks to us. So hopefully we'll get a quote by the end of the week and get underway.
And do you have the money for that?
The good news is, I believe we do. We speak with JC. It's only going to be a few $1,000s to get the, it's not an extensive amount of work. So it
Might describe that because a lot of the electric's internal to the tank. Right? A lot of the electric already exists
Yes.
internally.
yeah, it's a matter of tapping into the existing and just moving it around. Now, keep in mind, the tank is fully integrated. So once we get power to the tank, it's done.
Right.
So it's not a lot of internal integration work. So, yeah, so we should be in pretty good shape there.
And there was improvement on the pad to go with that.
Yeah, and we're at the moment that we're receiving some bids, but the good news is once we get the electric, we integrate the terminal, do our state inspections, certify it, and then we can start pumping,
You could start.
even without the pad.
All right.
So we can,
Worry about the pad when.
yeah, so we can get the thing in motion and put it in use and commission it. So, and I did have a meeting with the field engineer from QT Pad as far as the integration process for the terminal, no problem.
Good.
So that's no cost. I'll be taking care of that myself. That takes care of the tank. Any other questions there?
Will you pump down the old tank or will you transfer it?
Uh, Honestly, depends on the timing. If the objective is to keep the pump open, so we'll kind of do a hot swap. And then in a
Some will
perfect
have to
world,
be
we'll have some gas in there. In the old tank, we'll get some fuel in the new one. When it's getting to that point, swap it over and never miss a beat.
Good.
You know, kind of keep it moving. So there's no downtime.
So when you swap that power, you're not taking it away from one pump, putting it to the other. It's a brand new lead.
Yeah, we'll have it, it'll be basically teed off, and then when we decommission it, we get rid of it.
Take an axe to
Yeah.
it and go.
Not an axe, it's chainsaw. But yeah, it'd be a pretty smooth process to
All
swap
right.
it over. And final issue is, obviously, quite a while ago, one of the doors got blown in with the wind on the FBO. It took a while between insurance company, et cetera, but we got their quote, sent it to Braden. He said he was gonna get the half down for the door to the for the door company before he went on his honeymoon. So that should be taken care of. I'll be talking to them today. With any luck, they'll order the door. We'll have it before the air show. And we should be good.
Yeah, right now the door is just clamped shut.
Yeah, it's clamped, but even if it comes in later than expected, we can still get it open and it won't impede any,
Air fest.
yeah, so.
Plan is replace the entire door.
Yeah, they're gonna, yeah, it's all caved in, so they can't fix it. I think that was $3,600, but again, that's an insurance claim, so nothing out of the budget anyway. That's about it. That's all we have. It's been a slow month. You know, in a big picture, I think a lot of people are curbing their appetite to fly based on fuel prices. I mean, you know,
Hope the air fest gets a few.
yeah. So,
I think it will.
any questions?
Just to say thank you for letting the Custer County Recycles Group use your grill for their open house. I appreciate it. Very, very eager to help us out. So thank
Yeah.
you for that.
I wish I got a hot dog out of it, but.
Well, you would. I guarantee you would.
You
but
should've
you had to
left
come
one.
up
Should have
with
gone
it.
over to the,
You were downtown
Party.
working that. day,
Yeah, no,
weren't you?
you flipping burgers in town.
Probably so. Yeah. So, well, good.
Okay,
That's what we
thank you,
have,
sir.
gentlemen.
Thank you.
See you.
Appreciate your,
Bob
patience.
Jolly wants the record to reflect it was his grill.
Oh, well then, thank you, sir. I don't care about this guy. Yeah, that is your grill personally?
Just do
Is
your
that your
thing.
personal grill?
Thanks for setting the record straight.
I thought the airport. I thought the airport.
Well, I heard him whisper under his breath, my grill. So
Yeah.
I thought it was important to make that clarified.
Oh,
Can't, there's a purse.
I'm gonna grab my phone. I'll grab it for you.
Sorry. Oh, I'll take that.
You can have it.
yeah.
You guys must have flipped the coin and recycling got to go first, huh?
Yeah, because I'm gonna go fast. I promised. So,
Good morning.
good morning,
yeah.
everybody.
Sorry, good morning.
Good
How are
morning.
you?
Good morning, Bill. So, Kathy was planning to give this report, but she is waiting to have a negative COVID test. And so she asked me to come present for her. She should know later today if she's gone negative. But we put this together. First is that Baylor is here. There were some issues, but it is all installed, operating, and reimbursement for the Baylor has been submitted, and I think it's been paid for. There were some problems with it, but I don't need to go into detail on it. It's happening now. And we had the grand opening. Oh, and the certificate of occupancy for the facility has been approved. There is a rope line installed to keep people away from the pit by the Baylor. You guys know where it is. grand opening was on Saturday, the 23rd. It was good turnout. It was really a good turnout. There was live music.
Yeah, a lot of good comments. I
Yeah,
couldn't
people,
make it, but it
yeah.
sounded like it was fun.
Kevin and Tom were there working,
My gosh.
making sure
You were
that
working?
doing the first
I
bail.
got into some of them sticky sacks of beer cans.
And we did another bail that day, and the guys helped the machine. When everything was delivered and in operation, there was a part missing. It came the day before the grand opening, and then there was a clamp missing, which arrived the day of the grand opening. So there was a little, tug and pull that had to be done, but it all went well. So we're very pleased with that. There are people coming out every day, bringing all kinds of cardboard and cans and stuff. There is a board meeting, committee meeting, board meeting. Okay, the first one is going to be happening on the 11th.
Do you have time for that yet?
Do I have time for it?
Do you have a time for?
No, we do not have a time for it.
Got a place?
Place is going to be out at the recycling center. And just thought not everybody has seen it. If they're on the board, they ought to get familiar with it. Volunteers are being recruited and trained. First training is this Friday at 10. Not everybody is going to continue working that has in the past, but there are new people coming on board. So it's looking good. Everything is just going really, really well. There are contamination issues, and that's just going to come down to doing a really good educational campaign and letting people know what can and can't be recycled and where it should be put. The 2 off-site training drop-off centers are set up over at the fire station training ground and also over at Dundee Dog Park. We're still looking for one more trailer. If you all happen to know someone that has a 2-horse bumper pull trailer they'd like to sell or donate, we're still wanting to purchase that. High Country Recycling has funding in their budget for it. And then it'll be gifted to the county, and it'll be county property, which is what happened with the current 7 trailers. I can't think of anything else. There is going to be a intergovernmental agreement made between Dundee Dog Park, High Country Recycling, and the county. And when that comes to fruition, which should be in the next week or so, it'll be presented for all of you to review and approve. The trailers are yours. They're on Dundee Dog Park property, which is a nonprofit, and High Country Recycling will be managing and hauling it. So we need to get everybody into, I guess, intergovernment agreement on that. They're providing all the insurance and the land for the use of it. And their insurance policy is very high because it's a dog park. So it'll cover if anything happens. And that's it. Things are going well.
Going very well.
Yeah,
I did get the last trailer licensed and got that tightened up.
right. Yeah, we had a little delay on that
Title's
one.
transferred and it's got a license plate on it.
Right. I can't think of anything else. I'm trying to let Brian get up here and give you a detailed report so he can get back to work because he's got a ton of stuff to do. So, is there anything, any questions or?
No, good job.
Great. Thank you. And I will leave this with you.
Thank you.
I guess it's the quickest I've ever talked.
And if you would,
No, it isn't.
if Kathy's back up and running, if you would encourage her to send her report to the admin assistant before this meeting.
Oh, you know what? She sent it to Dorothy.
Okay.
And is she the admin assistant?
I didn't get it. Did you guys?
I have it online. It was in our final
Okay,
final
I just didn't
packet.
go look.
Did it hadn't changed from what I just
No,
said?
you went through it. CC
The
report
landfill?
out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can.
okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Like this.
Okay.
Yep. Great one.
All right, yeah.
Everybody.
Okay, thank you.
See you, Brian.
I have it right next to Brian's.
Okay.
I emailed this morning that updated fees for
Yeah.
that were approved. So hopefully today I will get a hold of Jordan and the Sentinel. I don't know if I have their contact info. I could probably go online and find it. To get
Yeah,
that
I think
over to
it's editor at.
I have it if you need it, Brian.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I need to
both
get that
papers.
over to them so we can get it in the paper. So we started scraping yesterday. And yesterday and actually Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I got my days all mixed up. Been so busy.
You were out there Monday. That's unusual.
Yeah, so we scraped 8 hours. Rusty scraped 4, I scraped 4. And then yesterday was probably about 4, and we got the scraper stuck, so we had to.
I saw that leaning off
Yeah.
over Jones's.
So anyway, and I was so busy yesterday with the volume of trash that came in, I couldn't get back in it. Yeah, so anyway, I'll make sure that, by the end of the month, we will get the total 160 hours in. So, yeah, it's just gonna be a lot of work, but that's the way it goes.
Dimensions on the trench again.
93 feet wide, 370 feet long, 20 feet deep, and 34 feet wide at the bottom. So we should have no problem getting the first one.
Yeah.
By the time you finish your top.
Well, after we get done with the top, and then the next layer is the stuff that has to go on trench F. So after we get done moving those two materials, then the pit run, we'll just make circles. I mean, it'll just go pretty quick. Yeah.
Do you think we need to contact Sangre about removing that fence or not?
We were looking at it yesterday, and basically you can back that scraper up. So if you make the corner, just get it straightened out and then back it up. I mean, it would help, but we can manage.
Yeah.
Well,
I'd be glad to make a phone call and take the fence out if they
Right.
agree to it, if you think it's.
I think we'll just hold off for now until we, if we have a problem. I talked to my brother about it too. But right now it's okay. I mean, it's really no different than the building.
No, that's true.
So we gotta deal with the building too.
If you tear it out.
Don't run into it.
If you tear it
Your
out
name is
accidentally, then.
I wouldn't talk to Joni if I were.
But I mean, that's an option if need be. We can go that route, maybe. The loader is broke down again. Hopefully Thursday, we're gonna get it back. It needs an injection pump, yeah. So, but other than that, we're managing, getting by.
What's the biggest need for a piece of equipment out there?
Right now, a loader. We actually had 2 of the road and bridges loaders yesterday, the smaller ones. It took me and Bill probably 2 or 3 hours to cover that volume of stuff we had.
Well, that's a good point. We got that. I sent it to you. The airport, it's the Department of Transportation, the Aeronautics Division, there's a sale. Denver Airport has new and old equipment.
Oh,
And Vince had, and they can take a look. The neat deal is that they're putting the price, they have an asking price, like a big street sweeper, big huge thing is $16,000, and it comes with a grant from the CDOT already at a 20% match from the county. So we'd have to have the match, but it's worth, if you really need a loader, it's worth taking a look at and seeing what kind of a price.
I didn't see a big loader though.
That was what he had though. There's
big is
other, I think there's some other, I don't know if they had all the equipment or
Yeah.
not.
There's a couple of like 906 cat loaders.
Yeah.
So pretty small.
Thought they had 966.
Oh.
Did they have a big?
I thought they did, but I don't know. We'll have to see, but it's worth looking at.
we can check it out. Yeah, I mean, the
Maybe or
loader,
something.
you could, that landfill could have 2 loaders running, if we had the manpower.
Maybe a
Every day.
smaller loader would work too. I don't
Not only do we have to cover trash, but then we have to cover trenches.
You can get a small loader for $2,000 county money. That's a pretty good deal.
But the loader is the most critical piece of equipment out
More
there
than the compactor right now.
right now. I mean, we can always compact with that old dozer if need be, it's a pain, but the loader is the main. I mean, obviously the compactor is a crucial tool because you're saving landfill space
Right.
if you're compacting right.
Nice to have the compact.
And a new compactor would be great too. I mean, eventually. That's gonna have to happen too, but right now we're okay. Once we get the loader back, I mean.
What's the model of our loader? What is it?
That's a John Deere 644H.
If, when you're on that scraper with some thought time,
Right,
I'd be interested in knowing how many hours of scraper time we're gonna need to get that area landfill
oh,
operational.
oh,
Uh, We're paying $25,000 for 160 hours.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, we're probably looking at
yeah, it's gonna be,
the rest of our trenches and that area landfill could be way over 1,000 hours,
oh, yeah,
2,000.
yeah.
You can figure it out, figure the volume out.
Yeah, I could probably figure out the current trench that we're digging right now, as far as the topsoil goes. Once we get it all, I can calculate the hours,
Yeah,
find out, because the area fill, that's all you're taking is the top,
right.
so I can kind of come up with how,
We're not gonna excavate any data cover out of the land, out of the area landfill.
that's all supposed to be down below. That's why we cut it in half. We will have some trench material to cover the area, fill,
Right.
until you run out of that.
And you know where I'm going. Is it smart for us to
Yeah.
look at buying it?
Right.
Scraper?
Yeah, something to think about too. They're just, the maintenance on them is kind of the,
Problem is we on it.
yeah,
Yeah. Of course, the maintenance on anything we own isn't cheap, but
right.
that's a little more prone to
Yeah.
anything else we have, so.
What was the price on that pump?
I don't know, it's gonna be over 5,000 plus the John Deere put it on, so I don't know, so.
And there is one loader in this, it's an 07 Komatsu WA 250.
Okay. Is that an email or is that just a
He can
website?
forward it to you.
He gave it to me, I'll get it forwarded to you
Okay,
today.
perfect. Right.
All right, sir.
What's the
Thank you.
price they're asking? Starting bid,
20,000.
20,000, jeez. Depends on the bids,
Wow.
that's 2,000
It doesn't
bucks.
say how many hours.
Okay,
It would be one that needed looked at.
Yeah,
right.
You know,
you gotta look at
All
it,
right, all right,
but out there it's pretty easy.
yeah. All right, cool.
If you get started, it's worth 20,000.
Right.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
Okay, was Laura gonna be in today?
She's here. At least she was this morning.
No, ma'am. Oh, you can call her.
I don't know if I have her, I do not have her number on this phone.
Oh, I'm done.
Okay.
Big move. Yeah.
Laura's on her way. She just ran out.
I'm here right here and I have.
Oh,
I
you
have
are
to
running.
leave at
Look
11.
at you, look at you go.
Oh, my gosh, I
Out
gotta
of
be
breath.
on this call at 11,
Well, it's
so.
only gonna be your fault if you're not.
Oh, yeah, since I was supposed to be here at what, 9:45? Yeah, okay, we'll go with that,
You
okay.
have Bill's humble apology.
That's my fault.
Oh, good, okay. Let's write that down. Bill said it was his fault. Okay, everybody heard that. Okay. You've got my report. And as you can see, you guys can see them. I don't know if you need to go one by one, but,
That's what's important,
well, they're all basically.
most important.
Most important, I would say most important is, I got some additional CSVG money, which isn't on here, so I will update that. And I just got that in June, so I will update in July. So that's good. So we have more money for CSBG, which we use for emergency services. So that's good. Leap we're done with, so that's going to show zeros until we start again in November. So that's not too important. Medicaid transportation, since we're just a pass through, that just shows how many payments we do. We spend a lot of time on Medicaid transportation, but there's no county dollars, but we do spend a lot of money doing that. And then this is our food assistance, and we're still doing maximum benefits for everybody. So it's high because of that, and we spend a lot of time doing food. And then TFAB. And we're still not having a whole lot of people for TFAB right now. And some of the stuff that we're not getting a whole lot of product anyhow. So that could be one of the reasons, but summertime, and I don't know, we're just down on our numbers there. We've been doing a lot with, which you don't have, because I don't have a chart on that or anything, on the Medicaid side of this, the medical side, because we're still talking about sometime they're going to take, everybody's locked in, they're going to take the lock-ins off. So they put in did another wonderful little redetermination form that is ridiculous, over 30 some pages. Some counties have seen it be 100 pages. Well, we're spending time on the phone with the state, discussing how this is going to end, how it's going to work. Been spending a lot of time with healthcare policy and finance over medical. So they did a review, so I'm dealing with that, and that they just look at stuff and say, well, you should write a policy on, how to do that. Oh, okay. Wrote the policy. See how you do that. Oh, okay. Well, okay. Write the policy on that. But anyhow, that went okay. They just look at stuff, ask how do we do it, and so we tell them, and then, well, write that policy on how you're going to do that. Okay. So I'm working on that. But we are spending a lot of time on the Medicaid side of that, because if it ever goes off, we're going to see people drop in. So we're just going to see. Although they did tell us the last meeting that we had last week is that they're going to keep everybody on when it ends. It's going to keep everybody on until their next redetermination. So some people are going to go off before other people do. So I don't know, but we've been spending a lot of time on that. We're going to be gearing up for LEAP again. That's going to start. Training will start in September for that. It will start in November. We got to do the training in September. So that's where we are. So
One question I had, because the national news has been saying food pantries are drying up, can't get food.
Well,
Are you having any problems?
well, we're just not getting the TFAB stuff that we were getting. We were getting a lot of meat and stuff. I think this time the thing we're getting is fish. We've been seeing fish, a lot of canned goods, a lot of mac and cheese, a lot of stuff like
How
that.
many people would it impact if it was a problem?
Well, we were doing 30 households sometimes. Now we're down to 22. So I don't know. We're doing maximum food benefits for everybody. That's what's going to hurt when that goes off, because people are used. It's going to drop their benefits considerably.
Yeah.
That's not because of a food.
For a year and a half now.
They're used to getting a lot of benefits, and I'm telling you, they'll call us if those supplements aren't there. Well, I didn't get my supplemental benefit. When's that gonna come? When they send it, but yeah, no, and try to get the word out on that. We're always constantly telling them on that. Got to be saving up on that because it's gonna go away. But I know they're used to it now. I don't know that it's really doing anybody a favor by keeping that in there, but they have no idea when it's going to go off. So we just play that day by day. So.
Personally, I believe you hold the record now for the longest vacancy announcement ever published in print.
Oh, God. Yeah, I know. That was huge.
Nice record.
Thank you.
Unbelievable.
Thank you.
But
We have an interview
I
tomorrow.
was gonna say, you had told me you had an interview.
I have an interview tomorrow. We have an interview tomorrow. So we're
How long is that announcement gonna be in the paper?
Oh, it's done.
It's done.
It's done. It's done.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was long. I know. I know. He came out and I was like, oh, yeah. Well,
Well, good luck with that.
yeah.
It'd be nice to get that position.
Oh, yes. You need to get that position.
What is that position? What's the title?
It is a child welfare caseworker supervisor. Well, it's not, let me phrase that. It's not only child welfare, it's Colorado, I mean, it's child welfare and adult protection.
APs in there.
Yeah, yeah. Yep,
All right.
that's what it is.
Thanks, ma'am.
Okay, I have to get back.
You have time for
You
your.
got time for a nap.
Yeah, yeah, I have time to get signed in so that I can do this call.
Thanks.
All right, thank you, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Is there another Lockhart to make a report this morning or?
I don't know. I think we hit half the thing.
Well, who's gonna do IT to burn it this way?
He's online, so.
You should be coming.
Is Virginia gonna appear in person or she just submit a report?
She has been coming in person.
Okay.
Sorry to keep you all waiting.
Vernon,
Good morning.
made it.
Yes, indeed.
How are you?
We can probably make an allowance for it this one time.
I was expecting somebody else to sit in the hot seat for a little while. How are we today?
Good.
Excellent.
Doing well.
Compliments on your website.
Well, it was definitely an interesting challenge, and Jordan did a great job, and we've been fine tuning it ever since then. So, yep.
Well, most importantly, Deb Adams approves.
Yeah.
Okay, good deal. Good deal. That just fine tuning a few things, getting the mobile site looking just like well compatible with all the devices. So our biggest completed project recently. I've been working on the phone use policy, social media policy, and radio use policy, and the instruction sheet. I'll be working with the policy group that has been created in the county to fine tune any of that. We've been working on the security upgrades that we got funded by the ARPA committee. And we purchased about $7,000 worth of servers, micro servers, which give us VPN, virtual private network capability, excuse me, as well as redundancy backups. And I'm going to be purchasing some new cameras to upgrade some of the old cameras that we have around the building, as well as give the courts some more security as well. We're just waiting on the electrician for that, actually. We have the cameras already. Along with the security upgrade, we got some ARPA funds for live stream and meeting capabilities. We have a new meeting owls purchased. We've been using Adrian's meeting owl that when he didn't need it, so we got a new one there and a backup for any other meetings. I know that extension office, when they're operating, they do a lot of live stream stuff. So rather than moving this one around and risking injury, we've got a new setup for that. Also been looking at some new help desk software that is pretty phenomenal. We'll be able to log in and take control of, look at all of your computers at any time.
Yeah.
My picture has been stolen from me already.
Yes, sir. And the website fine tuning. So those are basically my short and sweet report. The last new projects, cybersecurity upgrades, our insurance companies are requiring some significant upgrades. So we're going to be, some of it we can do this year, some of it is going to have to be implemented with a new budget. So because it's going to be substantial, and it will be a change, it'll be a lot more involved. I mean, even emails are going to be required to be multi-tier authentication, whether that means password on your phone or a fingerprint scanner or something like that. So I just got some requirements from the insurance company or CTSI for that. So, but some of it we can, like I said, do this year. Some of it will be in next year's budget. So that's where I'm at.
You worried about the junk mail we're getting there from Baja, Timbuktu? We had an invoice, for example, a Silver West got it for a coffee maker or something for 10 grand.
Right.
They're just scams again. Are those, when they hit, is there a chance even when they enter it off of the server for something that bug to jump in there?
So they're getting more and more sophisticated. We can up the spam filter, but then you lose other things. I have important emails that I get every week that are always labeled as spam.
So if you click on it accidentally and it pops up in the window over here, is that a risk, or is it when you open?
You can look at those emails, and the antivirus software that we've installed is pretty good at blocking Trojans and things that are going to
Could jump out of it when you click on it.
But when you start clicking on the links inside,
Yeah,
of it,
I never
that's the
click on a
problem.
link.
Yeah.
I'm just worried that just seeing it show up. I mean, if you get these crazy things
And
on the government stuff, it's crazy.
It is. It's and Adrian showed me one this morning that was sure as heck looked like it came from my office, but I know it didn't.
Yeah.
So the
I've gotten them from myself.
Yeah. See, that's just silly, I tell you.
I mean, they're crazy.
When you get somebody in Taiwan, you know, doesn't quite understand the English language. That's basically the biggest threat to cybersecurity is the end user. It is and always has been. Whether it be the flash drive that we got for free at a conference, we plug it in. The biggest hack in Pentagon history came from Russian agents putting flash drives underneath people's windshield wipers. Said, "Oh, look, free flash drive." Yeah, and yep, took down 50% of the Pentagon servers. So it's the biggest problem is the end user. So we have to just be careful with that. It's part of the new security requirements is constant and updated training on the on cybersecurity for the end user. Basically, don't click on an email that looks even remotely suspicious that you even question. Or if your antivirus software says, "Hey, we flagged something in this," you know, reach out to IT and we can work on it. Yeah. It's a brave new world.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Of course.
Nothing here. I think we're rocking and firing.
Okay.
We're waiting with bated breath for Adrian. That's why you've got to get out of here.
Well, I saw his truck out there, so.
I think he's here.
Okay. If I see him, should I
If you
suck
see
him in?
him, turn around and tell him to get up here.
Oh, he's here. My
My
situational awareness is shot right
Yeah,
now.
where's your space? Where is your peripheral vision?
Exactly. Exactly. I'm sorry.
You're so focused.
Gotta have eyes in the back of your head, you know, for all this.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you, sir.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Good morning.
Oh, I thought.
I think he was giving you a hat.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's mine.
Oh, that's yours. Okay. We got that cleared up.
Okay, boys, grab your wallets.
I don't really need to do that. Since Bill brought up. Well, the staff report it's actually was a pretty busy July. I think you can see all the activities. I do want to point out a couple things in the report. The first is the grant report. no, we billed the state for $17,168.71 for EMPG reimbursement. And then we've also have about 9,000 outstanding reimbursement coming from the hazard mitigation plan reimbursement program. In terms of volunteer hours, contract hours were 6.5, total volunteer hours are 61. Lisa presented me with a new application for volunteers. And so all of my volunteers will be filling out that new application. I believe that it provides a better protection for the county, for volunteers, and for the volunteers. I think it's a win-win. And then you see the volunteer hours. Brian had 17, Gina had 2 hours of unpaid. Miss Pollock had 6, and Linda Stolten had 19 hours. Linda is a part-time resident of the county. She's an emergency manager, or was an emergency manager in Florida. And she has retired, and she lives 6 months here in Custer County, 6 months in Florida. A tremendous amount of experience, and I'm happy to have her on my team because it just gives us 5 individuals who can get in there and staff an EOC if we need to go that way. And so the team is growing. 3 of us have been through all of the FEMA required training now. And so you have a pretty sophisticated and well-trained emergency management team. And every day people in the community who are moving here, who have emergency backgrounds, emergency management backgrounds are approaching me. And I think by this time next year, we're going to have a pretty great team in emergency management. Are there any questions with any of the dates that you see in the report? And then on things to do, the big thing I think we need to work on, I think we're getting there. I met with Brian. I sent you an email this morning. I think Braden was able to answer some of those questions, but it's tracking of revenues received that we seem to be having an issue with. And I noted in my report that initially I was missing about $64,000 of reimbursements that I've known have come into the county from both the state and from the EMPG special grants and EMPG regular grants, Homeland Security grants, and the HMP grants. And our system that we use to track revenues coming in from the EMPG program. We don't really have in our intergovernmental revenue category, the EMPG grant isn't even shown there. And we received substantial revenues from the EMPG grant. This year, we were initially funded at $50,000. They increased my funding, and that's why we need to have these mid-year adjustments in the budget, but they increased my funding under the grant by another $5,000, but nowhere even in our revenue stream is the EMPG funds even listed.
This account for what Braden told us yesterday, that he had a $50,000 plus up that he couldn't figure out where it went.
Well, I did have a staff member listening to that conversation for me. They kind of listened in to see what's going on, and I think that could account for that overrun. So it's not really an overrun, but when you go through the whole budget,
they couldn't pin.
They couldn't pin, but nowhere does it show EMPG reimbursement. And even if you look at the category we received, you asked a question at the last BOCC meeting about how Gina's payment when she was at the state EOC. Well, they put that funds under Homeland Security grants, and it has nothing to do with Homeland Security grant. It ought not even be shown there, in my humble opinion. It should actually be a out and in. And I say an out and in because we expended that money out of contract labor in order for her to be paid. Then the state reimbursed us. And since I paid it out of contract labor, it actually should go back into my contract labor budget to make me whole. And so there's this
contract labor budget out of a grant.
No, the contract labor is a line item in my budget. And so we paid it out of that, so that money needs
The
to,
grant reimburses it.
well, the EOC reimbursed it that, so that should go
It
back.
that's what I
had to do
mean.
with the grant. It was
No,
a
no.
line item.
And so that, I looked at here, and that revenue went into the Homeland Security Grant, and it has nothing whatsoever to do with Homeland Security. I also noticed that we placed the reimbursement for the HMP grant under Homeland Security, and that's not where it needs to go. It needs to go under the Hazard Mitigation Grant. And then it would be nice, you know, if you, when the county puts in or pays me electronically monthly on my check, I look at a bank account, I can see that it's in a bank account, I don't have to worry about it. I think when we receive electronic payments, there needs to be a category for the Office of Emergency Management that shows when we receive revenue, so that I know those revenues have been received. I sent out an invoice, the state pays it, but sometimes I'm not aware, and then Virginia has to run around saying, hey, where did this money?
So are you and Lisa in sync?
Well, we're starting to get in sync, but we need to tune up our new accounting system so that it reflects the
Well, that's what
picture.
I mean by being synced up, because they are the ones that will do that.
Well, I think we had a conversation this morning. When he gets back, then I think we can look at some things, but we need to add to the revenue stream, we need to add 3 elements for EMPG. We need to add an element for, I call it special funding. Like when I send in a volunteer to the EOC, I have to pay them in advance of being reimbursed. And so we need to be able to have something in there that makes that easy to do. And then that money, when that check comes back in, that it needs to come into that account, because it will appear that I've overspent my budget when in fact I have not overspent the budget. And so we just need to work on it. I won't belabor it. I think when Braden comes back, we can visit this and try to get it fixed. But having a mid-year budget review, I think is really important. And I know we've been going through the audit, but a lot of the questions that the auditors ask me is related to tracking these funds. And it's,
We gotta iron the bugs out.
yeah, we have to iron the bugs out. So I think we can do that. You know, I take,
Now, are you getting can you see on your reports, your year-to-date usage on line items?
oh, I can see my year-to-date. Yeah, the
So-
remaining, I can track that.
So, but not the revenues.
I cannot track the revenue, and the revenue then makes revenues received means that you actually have more money in your budget than the budget that's actually showing. So it means that my expenditures are different. And as we go into what I call the more active fire season, we'll be spending more of that money, and the budget shows that I'm deficient when actually I am not deficient at all. And so we just kind of need to fix that. And then the EMBC reimbursements, I have no idea where those monies are in the budget. I spent hours last night looking through this. And when I was told that, you know, they have 50,000 of accountable money, I think some of that money is EMPG reimbursement. I know that we received some in 2021, and I could find nowhere in the 2021 budget where the payments we received in the neighborhood of $16,000 in December. I can't find those in the budget. And then we received the remaining balance that brought it up to 38,000 in January. And I cannot find, I know their monies were received, but I cannot find where they were put
Put in the right account.
in the budget. So I think we need to sort that out. And before we go give away money and put it in a general fund, we need to make certain that this is found so that we can make it correct. And so that's.
So, and I don't think that, I think that falls on both sides of that coin, because there are a lot of times when monies are coming in and it may get placed in the wrong spot because there is no information with that. So anytime anybody is expecting, so say when you put in for reimbursement on the EMPG, then finance and treasury both probably need to be made aware, I have put this in. So then when those monies come, they are aware that there was a reimbursement put in for those.
They should expect
I think there's plenty of room for communication all around. I think I spoke to you about
Yeah.
that the other day on the phone. Because Virginia's looked, I know this year alone, 2 or 3 different times she's gotten money and has no earthly idea who has it, who it's supposed to belong to. And so if you carry that on over to the finance office, they may not be knowing as well. And that's why some of these funds may be getting credited that shouldn't be and the others not. I would ask a question real quick on the EMPG. You say there's no line item in the budget on that, correct?
There's a line item in the OEM budget, but there is not actually a line item that says revenue. And so when we do our budget, we have EMPG listed, but everything else in the budget is related to EMP special project, because 50% of everything I spend is reimbursable under EMPG, but the budget doesn't reflect that. When you look at, if a person came in and did a financial audit, they would not even know that any part of my salary is being paid by EMPG. The only part of EMPG that shows in that is EMPG special projects. Yeah, and so nothing in here shows that there is another funding source that pays 50% of my expenditures. And you cannot see that in the way that we have it set up today. And I think that's part of the problem. To address the other question that you raised, when the state electronically transfers payments, so I send in a reimbursement request, then an electronic fund transfer comes back into the state. It's very clear on that document that it comes from the EMPG grant. It tells exactly the months that they're funding it for. It tells exactly the items. There's a reconciliation because I may put in and they may do their audit, take out $15 or something like that. So the amount I initially request might be different from the amount we receive. And sometimes it works the opposite way. And so when they send an electronic fund transfer, that information is on that fund transfer.
So
I'm
how
not,
we grab it on this side and
it's-
don't bend it right after.
yeah, and I can't find where we're putting it. And then, that's what bothers me. I guess it doesn't bother me. I think we need to understand where that money gets deposited. And then it ought to show on my sheets so that all I need to do as a manager is look down here and say, okay, I billed this much, I received that much.
And come in yet, or it did.
It hasn't come in yet, or it did. And that is something that should happen in an accounting system. I looked at Werfeno's system and they show that. So if you want to, you can ask the other counties how they are tracking that revenue. And I don't think we have to reinvent the wheel. We can just model some of the things that are happening in other counties because it clearly does that. And it gets confusing. And it's even confusing for the accountants because they know that we're receiving revenues, but then they have to do a lot of time trying to figure out where these revenues are being placed.
Simply when they were setting it up, they didn't have all the information to put in the right things for the, when they
Yeah.
stood up this, the system's capable. We just gotta get it.
Yeah, and so, that's under revenue, it's under intergovernmental revenue. So we need to look at that category and then correct it so that revenues are coming in. So we can do that when he gets back. But I'm just aware, but I don't want to say that I own that 50,000. I may not own it, but I think a portion of that is EMPG funds that have not been allocated.
Not a problem.
Yes, sir.
So you're on.
And so that's all I have on that one. Things to do in August. There's just a lot going on this walk. So we've already addressed number one. we need to have a workshop. I think we're about 2 weeks out. I'm writing additional mitigation strategies. I need to consolidate what I'm receiving from the water districts, get the two towns a little more involved so that we have these 5-year plan mitigation actions. In other words, we have a capability or we have a hazard. How might we want to address, the hazard that's been identified? And that's what those mitigation actions. I gave you some capability stuff. I've sent you all the draft of the document as it happened a week and a half ago where we were. So we'll need to have a kind of a mini workshop where we can all take a look at the plan. If there's any typos or misspelling, Tom, you point out some things that we need to catch. Kevin, you pointed out some things, but we just need to have a meeting to look at that, to look at the 5-year mitigation actions that we're proposing. For example, perhaps we want to have a wildfire protection plan for every subdivision in the county. We need to identify that, identify what it's going to cost to have that project going, and then that provides us opportunities to look for funding for that in the next 5 years. And it addresses the primary hazard in the county, which is wildfire. The same thing we're doing with the flood mitigation, as extension to look at the area. We're simulating, and for example, say we had a large 200,000 acre fire here in the Sangres. We are trying to project what would that impact of that fire look like in Custer County. How is it going to affect our hay production? How is it going to affect drainage, water storage, and things like that? We want to be able to look at that, and that doesn't mean we're going to pass any ordinances or something like that, but that's a real possibility. It was very devastating when they had that large fire, the spring fire in Werfenau County, and they had damage that they just didn't anticipate. So that's what we're trying to, what is the term that they use when you're playing a game that's not
War game.
a war game kind of thing. So it's kind of, so we're looking at it and saying, this is a possibility. What will the impacts be? And what do we need to do to try to mitigate those impacts before they occur? So we're looking at that. I'll use the ordinance rule because if you look at the trend in counties throughout the West, you look at what Douglas County, for example, is doing, they're considering a defensible space ordinance. And I've talked to the sheriff-elect on that particular question. And what that ordinance would do is make it the responsibility on every property owner in the county to on an annual basis do defensible space mitigation so that they lessen the potential impact of fires. The insurance companies, we're going to have a meeting with them. They are going to be requiring that on an annual basis, people mitigate the hazard that grows every year. So that, and so we're not talking property mitigation, we're talking about mitigation around the perimeter of their homes. So that's something that we're looking at as well. We're planning on item number 4 on August 24th. We're planning a mass casualty incident tabletop exercise. It's a simulation. I think the scenario will be that we have an incident that happens in a church setting where a lot of people are injured, and then the clinic needs to exercise their plan. So this is a plan that will bring the clinic on board into proofing the plan that they have to see what their capability of responding, and that workshop will happen. The tabletop will happen on August 24th. The LEPC conference is scheduled for the 6th to the 9th in Breckenridge, and I will be attending that conference with a member of the Sheriff's Office also. And then in April of 22, I mentioned that you approved at a BOCC meeting a $20,000 emergency fund, and those money have yet to be placed into our budget. And so I want you to reconsider that, and what do we have to do to
You're gonna
actually
have to see what Braden said. Why wasn't that done?
I think
Have you talked to
the conversation mentioned that you would approve that we needed to have that fund, but we did not approve where those funds would be coming from. And I think the audit process was going to provide him with that opportunity. So I'm just saying we have yet to do that. And if we were to have an emergency, I have no funds to really manage it beyond what's in our budget. So I'll work on item number 6, and that will be after August 18th when he returns Yeah, well, you're talking about the other figured out. Yeah. Kelly must have.
I
taken the
was
note.
thinking that in the motion, it said where those funds were coming.
I did too.
Didn't.
Do we have that minutes of that meeting? Do we know?
Did that happen in Wetmore?
That happened at the airport.
What airport?
Yeah, so that would have been the airport.
May, was it?
That would have been.
I think it
That
was
was May.
May, is what I was thinking, but it
Yeah,
was a special
so those-
meeting down at the
And that
airport.
would be mid-month.
Right.
And here you have it as April.
Was it April?
No, you just said it here. It's in April. No, you said in.
Well, I
April.
thought
I think
it was in
I think
April,
you
but it
talked
might have
about
been,
it in April and.
In May, we
posted
actually
down
approved
it was
there.
improved in
Yeah.
May.
Or at the airport.
Yeah.
Anyway, go look, figure it out.
So we'll look at that. And then finally, Tom, you're up on the PLPT money. We've got our chipper. I would like us to maybe have a conversation about how we could possibly use some of that money to do slash cleanup days here in the Wet Mountain Valley, and not just what we're doing over in San Isabel. Maybe.
Yeah, we just have to agree how we're gonna use it, then we gotta post that. In 2 or 3 weeks. 45 days. Yeah.
Which is just a crazy amount of time.
Mhm. But that's to give everybody a chance to get at that pot of money. So.
And let's see, do I have anything else? Oh, then you're all invited to a workshop that I'll be doing next Tuesday in conjunction with the West Custer County Library District. It's a defensible space workshop that's been advertised in both of the local papers and on the internet and all around town. And the subject is, will your home survive a wildfire? And I will be giving a presentation that pretty much talks about how people can have a defensible space around their homes and how in building they can build to a standard that will help their homes survive a wildfire. And that'll be from 10 to noon on the 9th. And that'll be at the West Custer County Library Community Room. And that is my report.
And then we'll be unavailable for that.
For July. Any questions?
Good.
Dr. Brown did an excellent job on the health mitigations for the plan. I just got a compliment from the from Synergy, and they said that's exactly what they were looking at. So he did he did 5 mitigation actions, and they were spot on addressing air quality in case of a wildfire.
Hey, Adrian, I got a question about this kind of enforced mitigation stuff you were talking about. I mean, that's not something you would consider asking the commission.
No, it's
There's no way, that, the people here would stand for somebody ordering.
I was gonna bring that up.
Yeah,
but
it's-
not- it wouldn't, that's.
the towns, if you look at the 2 towns, they have on their, I think as an ordinance that says you must cut the weeds around on your lot at a certain time of the year.
Right.
And it's not something, we have no resources to be able to go out and to do any kind of an enforcement.
Well, and that's how would insurance companies enforce it if they make that a condition? of
They would
their-
enforce it by canceling your insurance.
But they would have to go out and inspect to see if you have not complied.
Yes.
Okay, but that's up
That's
to
up
the
to them.
insurance.
That
I
would
think
be up-
that's an insurance issue.
And then that's
not
up
a
to the
county.
I
landowner,
understand.
that's true.
But
I'm just wondering the
See,
enforcement part of it.
then the landowner would, if he wants his insurance, would clean it up.
yes.
That's how you enforce it.
And-
But how do they know? I mean, a landowner can say, yeah, I've cleaned it all up, but how is the insurance? That's not Adrian's,
Yeah.
something for him to answer anyway.
No.
I was just curious on that.
I think you need the amount of money that we are expending nationally for wildfire suppression. And you look at all the new bills that have been passed out of Congress, they're designed to place measures, put measures in place that address what we as property owners need to be doing on an annual basis to mitigate wildfire. And I don't want to be told what to do. If you go out to my lot is well mowed. And I do that because if a fire happens, I don't want to lose my home.
And you want your
And
insurance
so,
to pay for it if it does.
but I think to answer his question, the way that we can do it in Custer County is through education. I think the more workshops we hold on the issue, I think the more we get people informed, if we put out a brochure, in this planning and zoning that talks about wildfire threats, I think we need to do a better job of educating the
But what
public.
you said, here's what caught his attention and mine. You said Douglas County is great. They're kind of have an ordinance to require people to do it. That requires money to enforce it. And that's the big brother telling you what you're doing.
And
that's the point. What you just said is the right way to say it. We're gonna spend that money and educate people to do what's right, to keep their homes so they can get them replaced.
But I
by
think
the
Clint
insurance.
also heard the reason that the communities are considering ordinances is because the information education campaigns are not being
Well,
successful.
that's the point.
Well, and
That's the.
that's
problem.
an issue that's gonna be here forever.
Right.
Uh,
You,
but education is great.
I think that's where we need to begin.
that's it.
I think we
Well-
need to begin with education. And education does require on-site visits.
And that's why I'm just saying, you trying to tell, Custer County trying to tell landowners, here's an ordinance, you gotta do this on your property, is gonna be a very tough sell to get that. But that's just my observation.
Okay.
I understand what you're saying. Is there some kind of a recommended perimeter, how far you should mitigate from your property, your structures?
Well, there is, and there's formulas for it, but it's more complicated than that. Because it depends whether your land is flat. See, the standard could be one, if your land is flat, if you have slopes, it depends what vegetation you have, depends where in the county that you are. So, yes, but it depends.
Yeah, there's 3 zones, right? I mean,
Yes.
the first one is 10 feet, I think, and then the next one's 50, and I think the third one is 100 feet or something, so.
And those are the standards, but then it can go beyond that. I'll just hand you Clint.
They have information on that Firewise that has those on.
Yes, they do. I'll just give you one of these because it has some standards in there that you can look at, and I'll be presenting that at my workshop.
Is this for me to keep? Or
Yeah,
just-
you can keep that one.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
you
you.
can have that one. And it talks about some of the things that you are questioning about.
Okay. all right.
And honestly, ordinances, we have it on the books like in my time in California, we have the ordinance on the book. There was only a small percentage of properties that the department could even attempt to inspect. And so while the ordinance is on the book, it encourages people, and in the event that you have a fire that results from your negligence on your property, then you could be cited for violations of the ordinance. That's pretty much where it stands. No community can afford to go and inspect every property every year. It's just not possible. And so the best way to do it is through information and education. We have fire mitigation week or fire preparedness week at the schools. I've been talking with the superintendent. We're going to educate the kids. If you educate the kids are going to talk to their parents and say, why aren't we doing some of these things? But Custer County is changing. That's it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Butch. Were you able to find that by chance?
I've been looking for it.
No,
Should
I'll
be
have
the
to
April 6th minutes.
I'll look for it too, but it was either in April or May, but I know it was at the airport.
Yeah.
Has to be made.
Oh, it was mid-month then.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
in mid-month
mid-month
in May.
at the airport. Make sure I didn't forget anything. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, see ya.
Quick call.
May 19th. And I haven't been doing a very good job of Back in the minutes, I got May 27,
Never
May
mind.
31.
I was just calling you.
He was trying to get a hold of you.
You were late.
Somehow you had
How are you?
ESP.
You were on the ball.
Well, I don't know about that. There's your sign one. If you look at one.
No, I'm looking for one I signed.
No,
Just sign it.
don't touch it. Just sign it.
I'll doodle on it.
Well, I don't know, it's Kelly's.
Yes, ma'am. Kelly's office is really.
Mailing it or spending it?
Spend.
I'm seeing a negative number of 231,000.
Nice party.
Had a lot of collection.
Anything in particular you are seeing on here that you would like to report to us?
No, it's all, that airport will be fixed next month. That's when you guys,
Yeah, you already fixed it.
yeah, it just, the back one, so it didn't get fixed yet. Fixed in is, you guys took it from county general. I want to say we fixed the books.
Yeah. Well, that capital improvement fund is growing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what you have.
Well, we
Set
got
up
placed
for that.
against it, but I have to look at it. Pretty big balance.
I would move to accept the June treasurer's report as presented.
I'll say,
Okay, I have a motion on the floor to accept the June treasurer's report as presented. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Those in favor?
Was there a second to that?
Yes.
Okay.
Those in favor signify by saying aye.
I dismissed,
I'm out.
Not yet.
unless you got something.
She's waiting on me.
Yeah, better take the goodies.
No, that's yours.
Virginia, thank you.
Thank you,
You're
ma'am.
welcome.
Good afternoon.
Okay, you gentlemen good with moving on?
Yep.
Okay. New business. Consideration of hiring a BOCC admin assistant. I believe that is why you were here.
That's true.
I would move that we offer the position candidate A at the stated salary, which I believe is $17 an hour, which is 38 something. At least so we can debate or discuss.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor to accept or extend an offer to candidate A at the stated salary.
36.
I think it's 36.
And it's
138.
17, I believe it's 17.31 an hour.
Okay. So discussion.
Good candidate.
Yeah, I thought the interview went well. Will probably be news to many people that that position is now combined as BOCC admin assistant and the county public information officer. So one person's going to handle both of those.
So there's not a workshop on the PIO anymore?
No, we're gonna probably
I
ask
need to reach out.
chairman to take care of that.
I will reach back out to
Very observant.
the powers that be at the sheriff's office.
I wasn't gonna be able to make it anyway.
What date was
Now I
that?
can cross it off my calendar.
What date was it?
11.
The 11th.
So I will reach back
Oh,
out to them and let them know that.
I'll take it off of mine as well.
So,
Yeah, so after a good conversation with applicant A, I feel comfortable that that's gonna be a very doable.
Absolutely.
I would concur.
So can you notify that after we vote if we decide to accept this?
And what would the starting date be, assuming that?
Thursday one.
Fourth,
Tomorrow.
on the
Really?
fourth, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I failed to include that in my motion, so friendly amendment with that position starting August 4th.
Great.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, those in favor then of extending an offer to candidate A as the BOCC administrative assistant, duties to include PIO beginning tomorrow. Signify by saying aye.
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 So this person works one day this week and then gets a 3-day weekend. right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
What a great job.
You know, when I hired on at Road and Bridge, Rick would not hire me in December because I was hiring on at the end of December. I had to wait till January 6th so as to not get any of the holiday time.
So
It worked well.
I would assume Miss Lisa can reach out and,
I will give that candidate a call and I'll let you know the final verdict and we'll be off and running tomorrow morning.
can you just shoot us an email or?
You got it.
Okay. Perfect, thank you.
I can do it. Thank you
All right.
very much.
Yep.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're very
Appreciate
welcome. Have a
that.
great day.
Any other new business? I have none on the agenda.
None here.
We have all finished. I have none here.
No, sir.
Okay. Do we want to, either one of you have anything you'd like to bring?
Nope.
I would open it up for public comment then at this time. I saw that come up. Lucas.
Hey, can you hear me?
We can really hear you thundering in here.
All right, just making sure. I just wondered, with all the assessments that are going to go up on taxes, what's our plan? What's our vision for what we're going to do with the increase in revenue? And are we going to save some of that for the future? And when all of a sudden, maybe our assessments aren't as high as what they are now, if unfortunately we do go into a recession, say 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and just kind of want to see what your thoughts are.
That would be food for thought at this point, probably, I would say.
Well, Lucas, we have our budget process starts, what is it, the second or third week in October, when we have it scheduled for. And we take what the projected revenues are and basically budget against it. But we haven't, we are required by statute to carry a what we call a margin of a reserve, so that we are never allowed to operate in the red. And then, of course, if the reserves build up, then we take those year by year and decide how to reallocate that, if it is a plus up, to do things that fall out of the bucket that are not, they're must-haves, and then there's nice-to-haves. They're a part of every budget. And some of the nice-to-have become requirements eventually.
There is a process, and those are open meetings too, by the way, so that I'm glad you brought it up, because that's a good thought.
But the way county government works is you can't really make a plan for the future, because that's up to future.
Because we
boards,
can't, that's right, we're not in charge, we can't, for example, lease something, or buy something that extend on an extended plan, because we're committed, not the new board of commissioners that are representing a whole different group. So it's a little bit different than in the private world, unfortunately, business world. But you bring up a good point, and that's something we need to look forward to, because we can plan to put something on the book and not spend the money. And if it is there because, it looked good and it falls into that, then we've got a plan ahead. Our strategic plan kind of does that already. We need to put more meat to that if we think about it during that budget cycle. Figure out. Anyway, sort of a roundabout answer for you.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Good thinking.
Appreciate you sitting with us all day here. Anything else?
No, sir.
Seeing none, hearing none. I will adjourn this meeting at 11:30.